It's the Guitar Dads!
Welcome to the Guitar Dads Podcast, a podcast for guitar dads by guitar dads. This week, The Rock has come back to LA. Matt's hosting a small jubilee, and PRS gets desperado and takes it to the limit. It's one of those nights this week on the Guitar Dads Podcast. Now, here are two hosts who put the less in Paul, Matt and Dave.
Hello, everybody. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave. What's up? Welcome to the pod.
Welcome back. Well done, Dave. These are getting better and better every week.
Oh, I didn't think that one was good.
I hope our listeners appreciate the hard work you put into these intros.
Yeah, the 30 seconds.
Oh, man. Taking it to the limit.
What are you drinking over there again? Another Pinot?
I'm like, this is what I always drink.
The Pinot? Is it the same one?
Although, like we talked about, I am drinking the Pinot. It's a different Pinot. But
all right,
like we talked,
that's good.
Like we talked about last week, I should be drinking a beer because I went for a bike ride after work today, and I went on some very kind of crazy trails. My heart rate was up. I was huffing and puffing. It was a good time.
Oh, you earned a beer. You definitely earned a beer.
It was fun. If you guys want, if anybody is listening to this and they want to talk about like mountain biking, hit me up. It's a fun time.
That's what's in our gear section tonight. Our gear,
Dave and I actually went on a mountain bike ride. So
we did. It was my first, and I had a good time. And
Dave's going to start. Yeah, he's going to start coming with me. So Dave, maybe next time we go on the ride, I'll take you on a trail called Skullface.
Ooh, that sounds like it's worth a double IPA.
It's very rock and roll. So anyway,
well, speaking of rock and roll,
yeah, what's going on this week?
Let's just do a quick shout out to everybody listening. Thank you. We appreciate all the downloads in the last week. So keep them coming. Those of you watching on YouTube and those of you not watching on YouTube, check out our YouTube channel. Search for Guitar Dads. Definitely hit the like button, notification bell, all that stuff. Subscribe, please. And also you can find us on Instagram and Twitter, Guitar Dads Pod. We're on Instagram and Twitter. We're always posting new content, so check us out there and would appreciate the comments. Tell us what you guys want to hear and see.
Yes, please do. We love to hear from our listeners, and if you want to hear about something, you have a comment, please do. We want to hear from you. So please do it. Please feel free to reach out, where to find us on like Facebook. You know where to find us on the Instas. Just reach out and be like, look, I don't, this podcast, it sucks.
Yeah, and if you want
we want feedback.
If you want to reach out to Matt, you can contact him at 617. No, I'm just kidding.
Is my address. Yeah, I know.
It's his address. We'll let you know where
terrible.
It is.
But this week, okay, so let's get into our topic about music for this week. So we've figured... we were talking about Dirty Honey, and we were singing their praises last week, and we realized that, and I think we talked about this on the podcast where we said, we should really spend some time talking about some up-and-coming, or maybe even bands that aren't so up-and-coming, but just bands that are out there that are not kind of older bands that are doing the rock and roll thing, what we would call the guitar dad rock that we really love.
Yes.
What are they, and these are the bands that you may not have heard of. Maybe you've heard of them, but we figured we would just do a quick kind of like a rundown of our favorite bands out there now that are kind of like, maybe they've been around a while, but they're not really like mainstream bands that everybody's heard of, and so just, cause I think these days, like we've talked about on this podcast in the past, it's really up to the kind of consumer right now to go out there and find the bands. The bands are out there, right? Like they're on YouTube, they're on Spotify, they're on, like, if you listen to satellite radios, some of them are even on that, but it's not like you can turn on like a radio station these days and hear awesome rock.
No,
right?
It's
you just can't hear it.
The concept of radio is so different. The concept of finding music in terms of, back in our, when we were kids, between cassettes and CDs, you'd hear something on the radio, you hear it from your friends, and you'd run out to the music store and pick it up, whether it was cassette or CD or whatever. And nowadays, it is word of mouth. You are going to hear from your friends about what you like, what you don't like, but it's all, you're right there. You got to really search it out. And it's kind of, and you can't always rely. Sometimes, I don't know how your what you find on Spotify and Apple, but sometimes I feel like these algorithms aren't the best,
No,
so I
no, they're
find
not.
myself like going back, back into my search and
The
try to,
algorithms aren't the best,
yeah,
and like we
no,
talked about in the past, they're still controlled by major labels.
yep,
Right? There's
they
still
are.
like this payola going on behind the scenes on Spotify and Apple where they're only going to show you and recommend stuff that record labels have paid them to show you. Right? It's not like the YouTube thing where, like if people can go viral and then it kind of builds on itself. It doesn't really work that way on these music streaming services at all.
No, but
It's
I will
really
to the
it's
YouTube
yeah.
point though. I will say that's not a bad way to find because of the.
It's a
Because
great way.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
way to find because if you type in new rock band or rock band from, even if you just type in something as simple as rock band from L.A. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
gonna find a lot of good music that way, and then you take what you like there, take that to Apple and Spotify and type it in because it's so hard to find things if you're just relying on these algorithms because they're
Yeah.
like you said they're only firing your way the stuff that they want to fire your way.
So I think those of you, a lot of people that are listening to this podcast are kind of hardcore people in the music industry. They're like into the music, right? You guys are music fans, right? And so you've always found people and bands through like word of mouth and your friends, right? And, this is just another way to do that, right? And so we feel like let's just tell you about some bands that we've come across. And we've come across these bands because, maybe they've opened for other bands that we've seen in concert. We've definitely come across them on YouTube, whether it's like a recommendation when we're listening to one band or through the guitar kind of community as well, right? Where, we hear like, oh, there's like a signature guitar for this artist, for this kind of obscure guitar company. Oh, that's interesting. Let's go check them out, right? Or maybe like we talked about Emily Wolf, right? And how I was like,
Right?
I
Yeah.
haven't heard of her, but she put out this incredibly killer, Epiphone, and it's like, oh, maybe I'll go check her out. So that's kind of how we've come across these bands, and we just love them. So
Have you ordered that guitar yet?
yeah, no, I haven't. We'll talk about that later in the gear section. No, I decided to go a different route. As you said,
Yes.
I'm throwing a Jubilee celebration
Oh yeah,
here.
we'll get to that. Don't
Yeah,
break any surprises.
we'll get
here.
we'll get to that. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
let's get into it, Dave. Why don't you get started about like some of your like I don't know top like 3 or 4 bands that you've come across that people may not have heard of.
All right, so yeah, like you said, we were all over Dirty Honey last week, and we loved them. And I think they kind of to me set the bar for new bands, right? So I can't really I try not to compare too many new bands to them. But there is another band that's out there that's kind of in the same light. I think they're from LA as well. Joyous Wolf, and they get some airplay on satellite. I've heard them there. Definitely,
Yeah.
they've been thrown my way from through the algorithms too. And they get that they have that typical traditional like hard rock sound, that Les Paul or that Gibson, actually I don't even know what the guy plays. I think he plays Les Pauls.
You haven't watched them on YouTube?
And then Marshall sound. Yeah, and they got a great sound. The guy the singer's pretty good. He's not the same, he's not as good as the dude from Dirty Honey, but he can hit the notes.
But he's
and
good. Yeah.
He's good. But here's the kicker with them. Where Dirty Honey was, when they put out their EP and it was just, it left you wanting for more, and you couldn't wait for that LP to come out. It did, and even that one left you wanting more. Their first album, it's good, very good, but it's not in that same echelon. So
It doesn't
I'm really
kick
looking
you in the
forward to what
ass.
these guys. It doesn't kick the ass. No, I'm looking forward to what these guys are going to put out there because I've watched some of their live stuff. And they're a really killer band. So
okay, so like promising, maybe not at the level of Dirty Honey. Dirty Honey's the standard we hold everything
Dirty
to.
Honey's like that standard.
But they're definitely rocking and doing it right. I've heard these guys. It's a fun band.
Yeah.
I definitely check them out. Okay, so that's one. We got another one.
Yeah, we'll go back and let's volley back and forth. Who you got?
Oh, we're volleying. Okay,
It's like a tennis match.
So this is an artist that we talked about on one of our first podcasts. So if you haven't listened to some of our first podcasts, go back and listen. But one of my favorite bands out there right now is Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown.
Oh,
and these guys are, again, bluesy-based rock. I'd say they probably lean a little heavier on the blues, but it's riff kind of stuff. And Tyler Bryant's the front man who sings and plays, and he's a killer guitar player. He actually plays a Strat. He plays a Strat with I think he plays. I think it's got the humbucker in the bridge. So it still rocks.
He gets some of the best Strat tones.
He gets incredible tones. They're just doing the rock and roll thing right, and so there's two guitar players in the band. He's one of them. The other one is actually Graham Whitford, which is Brad Whitford's son, Brad Whitford from Aerosmith, that we all know and love. So Brad and his son is a great guy. I've met him after shows and just had a quick chat, and very kind of humble kid. You think like your dad's Brad Whitford, like you're going to be like a badass, but he's a very humble kid and a hell of a player. He plays Les Pauls plays Les Pauls like his dad, and it's really cool. So you get like Graham with the Les Paul and Tyler with the Strat, and they just kick some serious ass, and they put on it. If you get a chance to go and see these guys, they put on a hell of a show. They really take over the stage and just kill it. So I would definitely check them out. We talked about them on one of the first podcasts. We were talking about the best albums of 2020, and I thought they put out an album in 2020 towards the end of the year, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, so I want to go back. I want to go back on my vote for the best album of 2022 because I was listening to another album today that I had heard, but giving it another listen made me realize I think I was wrong with my selection.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
which one? What was yours? Was yours Ozzy?
Mine was the Ozzy. Yeah, we're gonna.
I listened to that album. It's pretty good.
It's pretty killer, right? It's pretty killer.
Ozzy's still kind of got it. It's kind of unbelievable.
The Slash stuff is great. I forget the other guitarist name that he has.
He's got some great guitarists on there. Yeah,
he's got the whole thing's awesome. But the main guy, I forget his name.
I don't remember the guy's name. Yeah. But Ozzy is just known for having the greatest guitar players of all time play with him. So he doesn't disappoint. But anyway,
no.
Who do you got next, Dave?
I might as well just go to that album, right? So Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. Now,
yes,
newer band, not newer to the rock scene, because Phil Campbell was one of the guitarists in Motorhead, right? And I know Matt's a huge Motorhead fan.
I'm not really. I respect them, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I like some Motorhead. It's not really my huge thing either. But I'll tell you, this definitely would tickle your fancy. Who says that? Tickle your fancy?
What?
Why don't you even say that?
Oh, I mean, this is Guitar Dads.
But this is right up. This is in your wheelhouse.
I've heard some of their stuff on YouTube. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, their latest album. Well, their newest album, which I think came out in 2020, is absolutely nuts. It's a riff machine, the whole thing, start to finish. The vocals are great. The songwriting's unbelievable. It's just got everything. And I think I want to take back my vote for Ozzy, and I want to give it to these guys.
You want to go to Phil?
Yeah.
Okay. All
right. So check these guys out.
I mean, they sound cool. So Phil Campbell was a guitar player from Motorhead.
Right.
Yeah. So everybody that's like a Motorhead fan's like, you don't know who that is? That's all
right. Give us the comments.
I probably wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup, just to be honest with you.
Well, that's only if he got arrested.
Well, yeah, that's true. Like maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he wouldn't be arrested. Yeah. But he's but he's cool. But I guess he wasn't the lead guitar player for Motorhead for the entire time. Or
no. He joined in like the earlier 80s, I think.
Yeah, 80s. Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah. So anyway, that's cool. It's kind of cool when you see kind of an older artist do something incredibly new and different. I'm gonna bring it up. We have raved about Slash's solo stuff, but Slash's solo stuff with Miles is like a prime example of that. Like breathe new life into Slash. I would argue like Slash just still got it, but a different flavor of Slash, and that's kind of like what Phil Campbell is doing as well. Like it's got those Motorhead kind of things, but it's a totally different thing, right?
Yeah, it's a kind of a cool thing too, because it's like it's all his kids.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
It's like a family thing, right? It's pretty
Is that what? I didn't
cool.
realize that's what it was, Dave. Is that what it is?
Those are the
I mean, are they really
sons,
are they really his bastard sons? It's all like the one night stands he had on the road. He went and tracked down all the women. That's terrible. We don't endorse that.
A band. Yeah,
we don't endorse that at all.
No,
but it's funny. That's funny though. But cool. All right, that's a good shout on that one. Let's see. I'm running out of stuff here, Dave, because I have my favorite bands. Because you know how I am. Like, I get obsessed with bands and I just stick with them for a while and don't listen to anybody else.
You do. Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So my other so this is a band that you guys may know. It's called the Rival Sons. Did you guys get that? The Rival Sons.
Rival Sons, great.
So Rival Sons are an incredible band. They are, I brought this up in the past, but the guy that is the lead singer of this band is probably one of the best singers out there right now, like in the rock kind of world. I would say like top 3 is like him, Miles Kennedy, and the guy from Dirty Honey. I'm sure there's other ones out there that are incredible. The guy, like I've said, the guy from Greta Van Fleet is pretty good. But he's an amazing singer, this guy. So he's really great. So you get these really great vocals. The songs are great. And for those of you that are guitar players that are listening to this, which I'm guessing is a lot of you, the guitar player is just incredible.
Scott Holiday.
Scott Holiday. I mean, not only does he have a cool name because it sounds like Doc Holliday, but his name's Scott Holiday, and he has like a handlebar mustache, right?
Yeah.
And these guys just got style, right? Like they just got style. Like they're just oozing with style and coolness, right?
Yeah.
And Scott Holiday loves to play his Firebirds, loves to play his big like hollow body Gretches. And he kills it, and he probably has more pedals on stage than like Radiohead ever had.
Yeah.
He's rivaling like Radiohead with Ed O'Brien with the amount of pedals he's got, but he's massive.
He's talked about that too. If you caught one of the rig rundowns, he's talked about needing to get that album tone, and because they have so much music out and they're touring a ton, they go through so much material. He really wants to give you the sound that you hear on the album, right? So
and I'll give you. He's big into fuzz. He's big into fuzz. A lot of fuzz things going. I think his handle on Instagram is Mr. Fuzzlord.
Is it? You know what? I don't follow him. I'm going to check that. I'm going to fact check you on that.
Yeah, can you fact check me? I'm pretty sure I'm almost positive. I'm almost positive his handle is Mr. Fuzzlord.
We'll check this one out
on Instagram. But anyway, they are a great band. Like I said, they put out an album in 2019. It wasn't 2020. It was 2019, and it was just so good. It's an amazing album. Go and check it out and listen to it. But they have a couple other albums that are incredible as well. But go check them out. Really, I mean, I would argue they're one of the best kind of rock bands out there today.
You are correct, sir.
I'm correct.
Mr. Fuzzlord.
Mr. Fuzz, Scott Holiday. I mean,
such a badass.
And he wears like pinstripe like suits. It's really cool.
Yeah, you're right though. They really are like the epitome of like rock style right now, right?
Oh yeah, they're just great. Just a great band. So I would definitely highly recommend them.
And I would argue this. They're not even anywhere close to being done, right? I would argue that Jay Buchanan could be put into the top 50 rock singers of all time.
Oh yeah. Oh, easily.
Maybe even in the top 25. I would probably have trouble coming up with 50 actually. So let me say 25.
Yeah. He's really good. Like when if you guys who haven't heard this band, like he brings it. I mean, it's just like the Dirty Honey guy,
Yeah.
So anyway,
all right, Dave, I got one more band for you.
Yeah, hit me with it.
All right, so not a new band, but not an old band, but kind of an old band is the Dirty Knobs. Do you know who the Dirty Knobs are?
I don't know the Dirty Knobs. No,
you'll know this name, Mike.
Dave's
Campbell.
Dave's coming up with bands that I don't know. Who is it, Dave?
Mike Campbell.
Oh, Mike Campbell from
Now that was his side project
from Tom Petty.
When he was still obviously with the Heartbreakers, but
this is before he went to Fleetwood Mac.
Before we went to Fleetwood Mac, but they're still putting out new music, I believe. So they are, and it's like if you like Tom Petty, which I do, I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. It's a little like dirtier, I guess, hence the name. It's a little kind of like, not. It's got a different sound slightly than Tom Petty, but it's got that kind of like that Petty sound. It's really
that
good.
Petty sound. Yeah. Okay. I love it. That's really good.
So
Mike Campbell, like talk about what an amazing guitar player he is.
He's so underrated.
He's super underrated.
He is not mentioned in the conversations of great rock guitarists, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about some of the cool guitar parts he played on all those Petty songs. Like, come on.
Yeah.
He's great. Anyway, yeah, cool. That's a good shout, Dave. So Dave has pulled up a couple of bands that are like older artists that have started some new stuff. So that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So you can see like it's a little more accessible because it's like, okay, I know who this guy is. I know Petty. I know Motorhead, and cool. You got any other like ones you want to just throw out there incredibly quickly?
Really, real quick. Yeah, we've mentioned her on the pod before. Allie Venable. She's a blues rock guitarist I think she's out of Texas. I don't know, but she's another one.
Great.
She's great. The funny thing, we talk about algorithms today. All of a sudden, I'm listening to the Phil Campbell album, and it suggests this band called Voodoo Circle.
Oh yeah,
they're a metal band out of Germany, but they got some killer songs. So
all right,
and they've been around for a while.
This is where
2008. Check them out.
This is where Dave and I don't agree because Dave gets into some of this harder metal.
No, but they're not really. Give them a chance. They're not really like metal. They got some like real. They got a lot of the sounds that you like. So give them a chance.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody else?
What are we moving on? Are we going to move on to some gear? Because I think.
Okay, you're done talking about the bands. Okay, let's get on to the gear.
Speaking of like old time rockers.
Yeah, so there was some news last week that happened with PRS. This is actually really interesting. So PRS released a Mccarty Signature Joe Walsh model. So those of you who don't know, I think everybody knows who Joe Walsh is from the Eagles, obviously, and from the James Gang. Amazing guy,
Funk
amazing,
49.
iconic guy. He's incredible. But he actually, I don't know did he ever? I know he was mostly like a Les Paul guy. I don't know if he was ever like. I don't know if he ever had like a signature with anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. When you sent me this, I thought he was a Les Paul guy, so I was really surprised to see him with PRS.
He mainly played Les Pauls. I've seen him with Duesenbergs. I've seen him with all kinds of different guitars. I've seen him with Strats. He plays everything, but so that's why I was like kind of surprised, like, oh, this is interesting. So PRS did like and what the Mccarty is it's like it's basically like a Les Paul style. It's a single cut that PRS put its own flavor on. And Joe Walsh has like his signature kind of single cut PRS, and nobody knows how much it's going to cost. At least I couldn't find it today when I was Googling it. I'm sure it's like $10,000 or something insane.
Oh, you think it's that
right?
High?
I'm sure it is. I mean, if it's maybe not, maybe they're going to go more accessible like the John Mayer, but those Mccartys that they sell are like, those are high end guitar. Those are like $5,000, I think, at minimum. A new Mccarty. PRS. So
wow, that'll be pricey.
Yeah. So those are beautiful guitars. I mean, it looks incredible.
You'll still get one.
Yeah, no, I actually don't own a PRS. We've talked about this because I feel like this Mccarty or the Custom 24 PRS is like the ultimate guitar dad guitar.
Yeah, I feel like it fits right in your lane, I mean, I'm surprised.
Yeah, maybe I need one. Yeah, eventually I'll get one. I have a lot of I
was kind of surprised you went with the Telly and you didn't go with a PRS.
I have a lot of Les Paul. Well, it's a Squire, so.
I know, but still.
But anyway, so I don't know, Dave. Did you check out this? Did you check out the Joe Walsh?
It's pretty sweet looking. I don't know if I'm not going to put down $10,000 for it, so won't be coming to my house.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a cool looking PRS.
No, it's a very cool looking. Yes,
but I thought it was interesting just to bring up because it's like, oh, interesting. Like Joe Walsh like comes out of nowhere with a PRS. So it's interesting. Like PRS is starting to get all these artists. They got John Mayer, now they got Joe Walsh. I think like they're starting to get into, I would argue, like, they've always had Santana. Santana was with them from like the beginning. But it's interesting, like, they pull like a real classic artist like Joe Walsh. Real interesting. So
yeah, some really interesting moves in the guitar world in terms of like grabbing artists. Like, we talked on another pod about Dave Mustaine going to Gibson, right?
That was cool. Yeah,
that's a different move too.
Well, that was a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal.
But this is less of a. I don't think like he's like endorsing PRS. Like, I'm a PRS artist. I think it's just like, this is a cool guitar we made for Joe Walsh. Here you go.
Yeah.
And then he's like, life's been good to me so far. So.
What are you trying to steal my thunder from the intros?
He saw the guitar and he was like, take it easy.
We're here all night, folks. Let us know what you think in the comments.
You saw that?
I know you. I see you over there coming up with another one.
Yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say. Where is PRS located?
Where is PRS? I think they have.
They're in Maryland. I think they're in Maryland. Yeah. So that's a long way from the Hotel California.
I was gonna say, you can't pick one up at the gift shop at the Hotel California.
No, you can't. It's located in Maryland. So, well.
All right.
Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that. The other big thing that happened in the gear world for this week was the Pedal movie by Reverb. Was released. So as of this podcast, Dave and I have not watched the Pedal movie. But we've listened to podcasts about the Pedal movie. It's more convenient for Dave and I to listen to podcasts and watch movies, obviously.
Typical guitar dad life, right? The kids.
Yeah, but the Pedal movie, it seems, from what I understand about it, I've read a lot about it on the Facebook. And on the I guess the guys that made it have been making the rounds on a lot of podcasts, not ours, but they've made the rounds on a bunch of podcasts to talk about the making of the movie. And it seems like it's more of like a historical timeline, and it goes through how this boutique kind of pedal industry that is now massive, right? With literally, I think there's like thousands of pedal companies, and they kind of go and establish, how did we get here? Like, how did this go from a few companies in the 60s and 70s to this, thousands of companies making every pedal you can actually think of? So that's what it does. It follows that and talks to some key people. I guess Josh Scott, JHS.
Josh Scott. Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah, JHS, Josh Scott's in it quite a bit. But a lot of the other builders and their Wampler's in it. There's a bunch of people that are in it, supposedly. So it looks kind of cool. I think we're going to check it out. From what I understand, most people liked it. I haven't heard a lot of criticism of it, actually, where people didn't like it. I did hear one thing, though, Dave, that's a little controversial. Apparently, like, they didn't spend tons of time on the YouTube thing. Well, they do. I saw a clip where they do talk to Andy from Reverb, because it's Reverb, so of course we're going to talk about Andy. What's Andy's last name? The demo guy. He was on the. You're
gonna throw me under the bus, huh?
I don't remember his name. You guys know who we're talking about.
I think is it Carr? No, that's the other guy.
People know.
I know
Andy.
Yeah.
Who was with a different company that really started selling all these boutique pedals back in the day, like in the early 2000s, I think. What was that company called? Guitar. Anyway, we don't know any of the names. Anyway,
jeez, we really should
but
be prepared.
Andy on Reverb was one of the original demo guys on YouTube. They do talk to him, but I guess what was controversial, Dave, is the pedal show was given almost like a shrift, like a short shrift, and they called them soccer dads. They're like, then there's these soccer dads that did this YouTube stuff.
Andy Martin.
Andy Martin, thank you. Andy Martin is. Sorry, Andy Martin.
I'm confusing him with Don Carr. I don't know why.
And Dave, what was the name of the company he worked for? We did the pedal demos. Well, you have it up on your phone.
I got
you?
it up on my phone. It keep spending. Waste some time here. Waste some time.
Well, okay, yeah, I'll talk about the movie.
I'll find it.
I'll talk about the movie a little more. Yeah, so they went and they interviewed all these builders. I think it was mainly focused on talking to builders, is what I kind of ascertained from it. But anyway, yeah, so they didn't spend a lot of time on like the whole YouTube thing. I think aside from Andy Martin, and I guess they gave like that pedal show like short shrift, and we're just kind of like, oh yeah, then they got these soccer dads that did this, and I guess some people were pissed off of that because like people that are huge fans of that pedal show, I think probably everybody listening to this podcast has watched that pedal show on YouTube at some time. They're incredible. Dan and Mick are just what an awesome show
it's a great show.
It's so good. And I would argue they are a big part of the pedal world, right? Like
they're huge.
They should have interviewed him. They should have interviewed him and talked to him a little bit more. Come on, So I can see that as a criticism, but I mean, either way, it looks exciting. I'm definitely going to watch it at some point and drink some wine or some beer, and check it out, and it'll be fun.
Yeah,
are you gonna watch it, Dave?
I'm definitely.
You have to rent it. You have to rent. You have to pay like $5, whatever it's worth. Whatever.
No, it's definitely worth a watch. And I wonder if they get into all these, like you said, these thousands of companies and how are they surviving? When you think about this, the market. Obviously, the music industry isn't like it's a giant market, but it's not like it's we're not talking toilet paper here.
Well,
right?
This is I think, I don't know. I mean, we haven't watched the movie, obviously, but, just like I can speculate, the demand is so high for these pedals. It's just like the brewery thing, Dave, how the brewery thing, just exploded. Right? The demand is there. These guys, if they're able to make a quality product, the demand is going to be there. Because think about it. You think about the pedal industry, Dave, like people like me and you, there's no limit to how many of these things we're going to buy.
That's right.
Just like beer, there's no like limit to how much beer we're going to drink. I mean, there's a limit. Like
That's true.
There's like a limit in any given day. Right?
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you a question then. So before YouTube, I would gamble half of these companies wouldn't be able to survive, right? YouTube is really keeping a lot of these guys afloat because of people like you and me and everybody else.
I think that's a good point.
And that's why pedals, and then we get excited about something new that's coming out, or hey, that sounds great, I want to check that out, and then
I think that's a good point. I think that's a good point. So I'd be interested to know like how much they actually focus on YouTube and even podcasts, like gear podcasts, right? So I'll have to check. I know Blake from Tone Mob is in it. I saw a clip of him in it. So, he's in it. So I don't know if other podcasters are in it. I don't think they are. I think he might be the only podcaster in it. But anyway, it's interesting. Definitely a cool thing out there to check out, and we will definitely check it out.
Yeah, no, that definitely is a cool, definitely a cool concept. And you know me, I'm obsessed with pedals, so.
We're all obsessed with pedals. We all have way too many pedals.
Way too many pedals.
And it's like we've said in the past, right? This is the golden age of guitar gear, specifically pedals too, right? And it's just so much fun. So this is a movie that sounds like it celebrates it. It gives you some of the history, talks a little in depth to the builders and to the people that are inside the industry. I'll give you one little tidbit that I did pick up on some podcasts. Apparently, some builders, I think specifically Brian Wampler, but there might be some others as well, that talk about it. Apparently the recession in 2008 was a big part of what got people into pedals and making pedals.
Yes, I did.
So that's interesting. So that's an interesting tidbit. So anyway, it's cool stuff like that that's in the movie. I'm going to watch it. Dave's going to watch it, and I think you guys should all go watch it, and we can have a great time. But it's really cool. Like, there's stuff out there in the world that's like a whole movie about freaking pedals. It's cool.
Pretty funny. You know what they don't have a movie of?
What they don't?
Is amps. And what you don't have enough of is amps. But you might start having enough of these.
All right,
should we get into our Tone Deaf segment? Now, Tone Deaf, if we haven't done this for a while, but Tone Deaf is a segment where we talk about the average guitar dad or a guitar mom trying to purchase gear and not getting flack from their significant other. But we hear that Matt has another purchase coming soon.
Yeah, so those of you that have watched us on YouTube will know that right behind my head was a orange amp, an OR15. and I sold it. It's gone.
Gone.
It's out the door. It's shipped out the door. I sold it on Reverb. Speaking
you
of
can
Reverb,
actually see it if you're watching on YouTube right over here. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't buy it, but I
Dave
would like
didn't.
to.
He should. Dave should have bought it. But can I tell you something though? Can I tell you guys something? I think everybody's going to understand this when they hear it. It was selling the music gear, any music gear on Facebook Marketplace is an absolute nightmare. So I put this thing up on Facebook and on Reverb at the same time. Okay. I put it up there and I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. Within like, I don't know, a few hours, I got like a dozen messages from all manner of wackos on Facebook asking.
Really?
I put in the ad I wasn't interested in trades. I get all kinds of things about would you trade for this? Would you trade for this piece of crap?
What was your best trade offer?
There was no good trade offers.
Well, what was the funniest?
Well, I mean, there was one, like if I was into the only one that was like halfway of a decent thing was a Hughes and Kettner, whatever, the Meister, Grand Meister or whatever it was, which if I was interested in that, it could have been kind of a cool trade. But anyway, so there's like all these people like, oh, you know, would you trade for this? Would you trade for that? No, I'm not interested, guys. I said I'm not interested in trades. And then one guy's like, oh yeah, I'd like, a couple of people actually were like, oh, you know, I work around your area. You know, let me know when I can come check it out. And I go, no. There's no checking out. You make me an offer. But so after dealing with that for like a day and a night, it sold on Reverb. You know, for you know, there was a little kind of haggling on Reverb, but exactly in the range of what I was looking to get for it. So it's like, you know, why the hell? Yes, I have to pay the fees to Reverb. Yes, the fees of Reverb have gone up, and I have to ship it and all that. But the buyer pays your shipping. So like, I don't know. Yes, you pay the fees to Reverb, but like in terms of the hassle factor, like somebody made an offer, I countered. He took the counter. That was it.
That was it.
Instead of like, can I come check it out? Will you trade for this? Enough.
But
Facebook
to your
Marketplace.
point, that whole back and forth kind of thing and all these crazy offers is really the catalyst for one of our newest memes coming out soon on Instagram. So check it out. Check it out in the next week.
Anyway, I just wanted to go on a rant on that. So thanks for indulging me about that. But yeah, so this is what I'm doing. I sold that.
What do you buy?
I sold that because I was like, I need a different flavor of amp, and I really can't get there with the HX Stomp and the Helix kind of stuff and the modeling stuff. So I just went all in and I bought the Silver Jubilee Mini. The Mini now. I didn't go the full kind of bore on the Silver Jubilee because like I talked about last week, it's kind of ridiculous. So I got the Silver Jubilee Mini. It's coming, Dave. You know what? Remember? So Dave, I texted Dave today and I was like, now I'm going to be crazy looking at the tracking. You guys kind of. But guess what?
There.
Right before we started the podcast, I got an email and it said your package will arrive. Wait for it. Tomorrow.
Ooh.
I just ordered it the other day.
I'm just gonna throw it down that I bet it doesn't come tomorrow. There's gonna be some kind of delay, and it's
you're probably right. Maybe I shouldn't get my hopes up.
And then it's gonna come Saturday.
But the Silver Jubilee is coming, and I'm very excited about it because this is, you know, I've had the DSL, which is behind me, which I talked about last week, which is rehoused. It's a rehoused DSL 40C, which is a great amp. So Dave has one, but it just doesn't do that. It doesn't do that thing. This is a real deal kind of Marshall made in England. You can imagine I've watched a million YouTubes, and this is something I've had my eye on for probably 5 years since it came out. So I'm really excited about it, even though I'm not going to use it probably gigging because like I told you guys, I use the HX Stomp for gigs. So it's like kind of ridiculous. But
what was the sound you were looking for, and why didn't you think the HX can do it?
I'm looking for that kind of like hot rodded JCM 800 sound, right? Like, let's be honest, it's the Slash sound.
Of course it is for you. Of course it is for you.
Let's just be honest.
In your world, I don't think anybody else plays guitar. I just think Slash is there.
Yeah, exactly. So
when
anyway,
you die and go to guitar heaven, I don't think anybody else is going to be there but Slash.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right. You know, maybe there's some other like more attractive people there. But anyway. Anyway.
Clapton shows up. You're like, no, sir, you sit over there.
No,
Slash,
Clapton,
sit next to me, right here.
Anyway, so I mean, it's that kind of tone, but it's also just going to be a lot of fun to play around with the Marshall. I'm looking forward to it. You guys will see this on YouTube. You'll see the demos. You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to tell you right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try.
You're not going to tease?
To see how close I can get with HX Stomp with the sound of this thing.
Well, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to see, because I went on, like, even before I pulled the trigger on this thing, I went on like a mission. I'm like, does anybody have like a preset in the Stomp for a Silver Jubilee? And most people were like, you can kind of get there by using the JCM 800, the different models, or the Friedman model. You can kind of get to the Silver Jube sound. I'm going to see if I can get there on the HX compared to the actual Silver Jubilee. I actually Googled this. I didn't see a lot of this stuff on YouTube. So maybe it'll be a new thing, and we'll try to dial it in and see. We'll do like the Retschel Rick Beato thing where we try to, dial it in. Except I don't have like a gazillion-dollar studio like Rick Beato. Nor do I have the white spiky hair, even though Dave thinks I look like a young Beato.
You do look like a young Beato, but we can. That's okay. We can Photoshop the studio behind you. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So yeah,
the magic of post production.
But Dave, I think you need to be in the room to do this with me, because I think I need your ears to.
I do need to be in the room
to do the tweaking, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this will be a fun little thing we'll do.
Looking forward to this
coming up soon. But Dave, what other questions do you have
about the Jubilee?
Yeah.
I know you're very excited about this. You can't contain yourself.
It is pretty exciting.
No, I think I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to. We've talked about the modeling versus you're big into the modeling, and you like your amps. So I'm really interested to see. This was the sound. This was the tone. These are tones that you have been looking for, searching for a while, and now it's finally maybe coming.
I was going to say, we'll see. I mean, maybe the thing doesn't do it,
Maybe it doesn't do it. I'm going to be very interested.
But I've listened to a lot of demos. It does it.
Let's see if you can do it.
Exactly. Can I get the tones out of it?
Can you get the tones out of it? Right.
I don't know. We'll see. But it is really cool, and we'll see what happens. So I'm excited about it. So stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that.
What do we think, Dave? What else?
Just keep looking for new content, such as this and other stuff on our YouTube channel. Check out Guitar Dads on YouTube. Also check us out on Guitar Dads Pod on Twitter and Instagram, where you'll be awaiting the newest meme coming out based on the Reverb discussion. And that was this week's Guitar Dads podcast. We'll see you next week.
See you guys. Catch you guys on the flip.